Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with actor Jacqi Vene, star of Netflix hit Fear Street Part 2, about her new film, The Surprise Visit, which is on VOD now. Jacqi moved to Los Angeles on her own at age 18 and made her way into film with her role as Joan on Fear Street Part 2, and we discuss her role of Annabel in her new film Surprise Visit, as well as her own passion for theater, how she got her start, and much more. It's a fun interview, and I'm thrilled to bring it to you. Hey, Jacqi, thank you so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
I was just watching the trailer for The Surprise Visit, and super excited to talk to you. Between that and Fear Street, you've gotten to do a couple of things in one of my favorite genres. I love horror, and I love comedy horror where it's slapstick, and I love stuff like, Hereditary or something where you just have chills and think about your family relationships for a couple of weeks. But there's something
Oh
really,
my God, Hereditary. That was crazy.
but there's something really fun about the kind of horror where someone is going to hit that monster with a baseball bat. And Fear Street really scratched that itch. And then in the last few years, there's been, I feel like, a few movies in the realm of like The Surprise Visit, two desperate people with a bad plan, and then things start going wrong, and you just inevitably you just can't get out. It's just worse and worse. Can you talk a little bit about, like, for Surprise Visit, what was that audition like, and then getting the script, finding out that you were going to be working with Eric Roberts and things like that? How did that project develop?
So I auditioned for it, and it was kind of grueling because it was some pretty intense scenes. And then I got the part after some chemistry reads, and we got a Casey or got an Annabel. I'm not sure which came first. And then we got the script, and we went out, and pretty soon after we started shooting. Annabelle was written a little bit different than what ended up being portrayed, but we kind of worked together to create this different vibe of the character that would essentially be a bit more likable or someone to root for, essentially.
Gotcha. Was that an experience that you'd gotten to have before, that kind of interplay on a set of like, hey, I feel like the character should or shouldn't do this? And you work that out?
I kind of try to bring that. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I try and bring that to everything that I do. Some independence and some, just thought to what I think, because, you casted me, so I want to bring up what I think. If we don't like it, we can go from there, but I at least want to bring it up. And Nick was really, really, the director, willing to work with me, and we just kind of found a rhythm and flow together, which I think is the best thing that you can do when working with a cast and crew, is kind of make it everyone's project and not just your own.
Yeah, I think sometimes with the director's name up top or getting to know some famous auteur, we like to think of films as a, one person's vision kind of thing, but they're an amazingly collaborative medium.
Go
ahead.
Totally. Working with the wardrobe people to makeup, everybody is offering a piece of their own art to it, and it's a conglomerate of things.
Was there any particular moment in Surprise Visit where you got a certain piece of costume, or you saw a set and went, okay, we're in it now, this is it?
When it comes to I guess, yeah. Costumes, hair, we had a great makeup and hair person named Wilfrey who also did costumes. It was awesome getting to, I remember I got this flannel dress, and I was like, yes, this is it. And then my hair and the makeup, yeah, all of it, that really transports you into a place with the character.
I would think Fear Street would also have a lot of those kind of touches in terms of putting you into the right time and separating it from the other two installments. And from what I've heard, on a previous interview with you that was kind of the opposite in terms of audition process. You self-taped and then were just kind of called up immediately. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I actually self-taped like 6 months prior, and then they called me out of the blue and asked me to like fly out the next day or two. And I was like, what? I had no call back, nothing. So anything can happen.
I've heard before that sometimes you just have to, your job is to just go on auditions. It's not necessarily to work. Your job is to go on auditions and you may not get called back for most of them. You just got to put them out of your mind. Was it surprising 6 months later to go, what was that? Fear Street? I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, because I think I only did it in like 1 or 2 takes too. So I was like trying to think. I was like, what? And I had to try and find the audition. And I was like, I don't even think I could find it initially. So it definitely took me a moment. But I did know, because one of my friends was actually shooting it, and I knew him, and I knew what the project was, and I knew it was a big project through Fox. So I definitely heard about it. But I was just kind of shocked that there was no callback or anything.
Was there a favorite part of getting to get into that particular kind of horror? I really enjoyed all 3 of those installments. I didn't grow up on R.L. Stine particularly, but it's a type of horror I like, and even skewed to more of a teen audience. It was still just really fun. Great monster design, just all the way through.
Right. I love it. What was your question about it?
What was there anything particularly fun about getting to play that particular role?
Oh, everything. The time period was specifically just so fun. I loved the 70s. I loved the costume. I loved playing the levity. I loved playing this light character that was just a hippie. I loved playing that. It's I definitely brought like the stereotypical 70s hippie into it. I loved playing the one who smoked weed and didn't take everything too seriously, in juxtaposition to Emily Rudd's character, which was a lot more serious. I loved the vibe.
I feel like those kind of movies and like you said, that stereotypical 70s hippie, like there's kind of a set of people that ought to be in a horror movie, especially like a camp horror movie. And those kind of archetypes are something that I love in particular genres. When I saw that you had a Commedia Del'Arte, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. It's been a long time since that college class. When I saw that in your background, that was something that really thrilled me about the giant survey theater course that I had to take way back when, of going through, history of theater and all this stuff. And I don't feel like enough people know what that is, and how much it roots so much stuff we see. I feel like in media, when you feel like you're seeing kind of the same comedy story with the same types of, useful idiots and such throughout. I don't think people realize just how old those archetypes were. Can you talk a little bit about getting into theater, getting bit by the bug, and then finding Commedia?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love it. So it's Commedia Del'Arte, by the way.
Thank you.
Super close. You're welcome. Super close. It's because it's Italian. It stems from a long time ago. Okay, well, first I'll start with me. So I started doing theater in high school, and I loved it so much. I wasn't really necessarily booking leads right away, but I just loved it. And this Commedia Del'Arte, these 2, it's kind of sometimes known as clown acting. So we had these 2 clown actors. It's not the typical clown that we think of with the red nose, but we have these 2 kind of actors and directors come, and they helped us create this show, and they had the students help write and direct it and come up with their own characters. We did mask making. So we made these masks, and then we created these characters, and then they taught us about archetypal characters. So that's what you're talking about. You have a Pantalone. They're all stem from these Italian names. So we have this I created this Pantalone character, which at the time I didn't know what it was, but it was kind of this villain, this old woman that I created that was leading the story, but kind of villainous, and no one liked her, but she got the story going. And it's kind of like the wicked apple lady and Snow White.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we had then you have the lovers, and then you have the the dumb thing 1 and thing 2, like the dumb ones. And yes, you're so right. All of these archetypal characters are throughout history and storytelling, and there's all these different triangles that happen in arcs that happen in almost every single story you can think of. And we just learned about how to tell stories with just creating these simple archetypal characters with these simple arcs in the storyline. And we got to write and direct pretty much our own show. So then I started to work with these 2 people outside of high school, and I would write and direct shows with them that we would put up in small theaters in Tucson. So I would go from my theater shows in high school, I would do like a straight play, which is a non-musical, and then we'd do like the Children's Hour to the Addams Family, and then I would run over and do Commedia Del'Arte style shows, and I wouldn't get home till like midnight. So I was just doing so much theater, and that's kind of how I got hooked in storytelling.
I mean, I can imagine, what it takes to get into a role, but what do you do to palate cleanse running between different shows like that? Is there anything that you do to clear your mind and, all right, we got to start fresh now, I got to be in the Addams Family, we're not in Children's Hour now?
I mean, good question, but at that time no, and I just don't take myself that seriously, and I kind of just allow myself to go with the flow and feel. And especially when I was younger, I didn't think twice about much. I just kind of went for it with everything that I did. If anything, I'd listen to music. That's what I do now. Music is my cleanse, and just being alone. So especially now, whenever I can grab that 30 minutes at least of alone time and just listen to music and draw or write, then that's kind of my cleanse.
How long have you done visual art?
A long time, probably since I was like 10 or 11.
Has that always been a release for you, or did you ever think about pursuing it in the same way that you looked at pursuing theater arts?
A little bit. Like I just always did it for fun, and then I do now sometimes sell prints or original commissioned art pieces for friends and stuff. I learned how to oil paint over COVID and really fell in love with it. So I do pursue it a lot. It's like just kind of a passion hobby, and yeah, I don't know.
That's great.
I love it.
Yeah, I painted all through college, and it's definitely been. I don't know. I feel like we've all found, if you've ever had any interest in an art making process, I think we all rediscovered it over this last year. Like, what have I ever done that might take up a couple of days and keep me sane?
What is your medium of choice? Do you have one?
I always liked watercolors. I liked oil painting, but I was often a little bit too broke in college to acquire the various stuff that I would need. And so I had a set of watercolors that were just nearly infinite. It was just going to keep.
Oh my gosh, I know. I used to carry, so a lot of my original pieces that I first started and worked a lot on are all watercolor. And I used to carry this little mint tin around that I put clay in. One of my old roommates helped me make it, put clay in, put it in the oven, and it had these little these cubicles of all the watercolors to go. And I still have it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I had a professor in college that really did huge fine art, museum level pieces in watercolor, and was very big about, hey, I live in Texas. I know it's what everybody paints bluebonnets with. I know it's what your aunt painted bluebonnets with. Please don't, disparage the entire medium just because, you saw some Rusty Barnes painted in watercolor once. And so he was always really big on no, even in college, don't just feel like you have to oil paint to be a real painter. But
Right,
even
that's
though
awesome.
I really do, there's just stuff that oil paint does that nothing else looks like that.
Yeah, oil, as soon as I got into oils, I was like, wow, this is something special. I just love the fact that it stays wet for so long.
Yeah, you can keep working it to a degree. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously after a while I'll make a complete mess out of a canvas, but you can keep messing with it a lot longer. I feel like there's a certain kind of, well, you did it, it's done, to watercolor sometimes.
Yep, exactly. Even though I really work my watercolor paintings, I don't know how, but I do.
Yeah, there's several I have where all right, let's just ignore how warped the paper is. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you so much for chatting with me about all of it. I also appreciate you letting me birdwalk over into painting for a minute there too.
Oh, yeah, of course. Anytime.
Do you have any projects on the horizon that you're particularly excited about after Surprise Visit?
Yes, I just released my first writing and directing film project that you can find through my Instagram or through my YouTube, and there is more coming from that. I'm a small role in the new upcoming series for HBO called Minx that you can find me on, and some more writing stuff is coming, but that's all I can say about that.
Very cool. And people can go check out the Surprise Visit theaters and VOD January 14th. People can go watch Fear Street right now if they haven't already. And yeah, can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, find me on Instagram. You can keep up with all this stuff. Bye-bye.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.